welcome back to Talk with TQ. As you know, I'm always really thrilled when you come to see my show, and this is the best job. It's the greatest thing that anyone could imagine. The reason is that I get to interview the most amazing people. Well, today I have a great guest, and she's new to Peekskill, New York, and I'm so honored and thrilled to be able to interview her on the show. Her name is EVELYN LEE, and she is the sole proprietor of the new Evolution Gallery. Welcome to Peekskill, EVELYN.
Thank you, Toni.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. I'm really happy about this one. Now, I see you have your wonderful dog, Finn. I love having an animal in the shot, you know? This is his cameo. But it's really more about you. And when you come to the Evolution Gallery, you will see Finn, and he's hypoallergenic, so don't worry about it. But tell me, how did you get into this particular business? It seems that you're very natural with this. It seems that it's very organic for you.
Well, I love art, and I was in commercial art, consumer products for a long time. I was an art director. And so I knew a lot of commercial artists, and they did art, and one of the things I loved to do was to go to art fairs, Rhinebeck, Lyndhurst.
Yeah.
And so I was always collecting, especially when I had no money, so that's how I decorated, was things that I could afford. My visions for the store was that I would have things in here that were affordable to everybody.
And you do have a lot of things here, I see, and your price ranges are great. It's the kind of place where you come and you see things that everything's extraordinary no matter what the price is. I like that about it. But you're a bit of an artisan yourself, because I've walked by and come in and seen you on the floor painting things, painting pieces of old furniture, sort of giving them your own special touch, your own special facelift, and giving things a new life.
Yeah, well, part of what I've done is to have I hate the idea of anything going to waste. So a lot of the display pieces in the store, mostly all of the display pieces in the store, are pieces of furniture that I've rescued or bought that were being thrown out, people were getting rid of, and then I paint them. A friend of mine, the pieces that we're sitting on now are done by a friend of mine, so she does it also. Okay. And so that's kind of what we built from. So having all these pieces in the store and then giving it that sort of warm feeling, and then using the pieces as display and putting all this beautiful art and these crafts pieces on the furniture. So everything's for sale. The furniture's for sale. The crafts on them are for sale.
And the crafts on them. What comes to mind is an old song, and it was actually written before we were born, called "Everything Old is New Again." And I just think that everything in here is just so unique. You're also featuring, I've noticed, and how could you not notice, different artists and quite a variety of artists that you're actually displaying in the store. And we talked about something just before we started shooting. You said that you like to get a backstory. Explain that to me again. Explain to the audience what you mean about choosing different items because of the backstory.
Well, everybody has a story, and so a lot of times when I meet the artist or I see things that catch my eye, I get to know the artist a little bit, and then they tell me how they started or how they got into what they were doing. And so I've got things that it's really interesting to find out what made somebody start doing the artwork that they're doing. And as I was telling you about these people, I was looking for dog collars because people are so into their pets, and I wanted to have a line of dog collars. And you see a lot of handmade collars, but I found these particular ones that were so beautiful, and when the people told me their backstory and how they got into doing it, it really moved me. So I was thrilled when they said that they would put pieces in the store. So they're bringing them on Sunday, and I can't wait. And it'll build up a whole little section that I hope to have of dog collars and bowls by ceramists and beds that somebody's bringing. So it'll be nice.
And you've inspired some artists here in Peekskill. We were talking about a ceramicist that came in and was talking about the dog merchandise, and how did that work out for her?
Well, I asked her if she would do some pieces, and she did, and so I'm excited because she's doing some small dog bowls and some cat dishes that originally I don't think were in her repertoire, but she did beautiful pieces, and I can't wait till she brings them to the store, so we'll have them, and it was exciting.
It is exciting.
You know, and they're great. She keeps showing me pictures. I can't wait to have them here for sale, and I have a textile artist who's from Peekskill who's going to be doing pillows, especially. She's going to be launching her own brand of textiles right here in Peekskill, and she'll be doing the pillows that'll be available right here in the store.
That's great. You know, we have a lot of creative people in this city. It's amazing how much talent there is just walking up and down the street. I noticed that you also have some artists that appreciate Peekskill and for what it is, and so you have some out-of-town artists as well that seem to fit into the mix. Tell me about some of the art that is here, that is from artists that are from Peekskill, but also outside of Peekskill. You have this one particular metal sculptor that is pretty prominent in the store. And what is his backstory? I'm just curious, why did you decide to work with this particular artist?
Well, I was very fortunate. Rob Spinazzola, who does the sculptures, when I first got the space, and was so lucky to get this space, I didn't know that if I was gonna have any art for the space. And I was worried, surprise, exactly. And I was very worried. And a friend of mine introduced me to Rob, and he was gracious enough, and Rob's been a very, well-known sculptor for 40 years, and he was gracious enough to say, I said, would you bring a piece or two to the store, something to anchor the store? I thought it would be great to have something, and my vision was to have something sort of in the middle of the store, like you see here, that I could build around. And he said, absolutely. And he was so kind and so gracious to bring a piece, and then he brought me a few more pieces, which was so nice of him. So that's how I was lucky enough to have Rob here. He was gracious and kind enough to have some pieces, put some pieces so that I could build around it.
Right, and you have a very interesting curating eye, because as well as having large pieces or an artist like this, you also have embraced some local people here, photographers in particular. I've noticed when I came in, I was like, oh, I know him, oh, I know her, which is really interesting. So do you find that you're prepared as we're on the cusp? Well, we're always on the cusp of a selling season, and a buying season. So do you feel as prepared as you appear to be?
Well, I hope so. And so that the building that I'm in is a building of artist lofts.
Yes.
So the apartments above me are all occupied by artists. And so some of these photographers live in the building.
Yes.
And they contacted me and said, heard about what I was doing and said, would you, show my work in your gallery? And I was pleased to do so. Yeah. And what I've been asking people to do for this coming, holiday season, I've been asking the artists to do is, now I have so many frame pieces on the wall, but I've been asking them to bring me smaller pieces, matted perhaps, so that people can, so it'd be more accessible to people.
Right.
And so people have embraced the idea.
Yeah, I think it's a really great idea. That's why I like the fact that you sort of inspire the artist as well to sell their work. I think that's really great. And often we don't get that inspiration, and you've definitely brought that sort of vibe here. And so I imagine that you're being very well received. Now, tell me more. I'm curious about this as we're approaching like bulk pickup day here that we have like maybe every 3 months here in Peekskill. Now, you pick up things that you see that some people might consider junk, and then you turn it into something beautiful. Who taught you this?
Well, my friend Kim taught me how to paint the furniture, and then I kind of had been doing it I did it with my dad when I was a kid. We used to antique pieces, you know, paint them and then put, you know, varnishes on them. And then, so she taught me how to do it with a chalk paint. And so I started taking some pieces that I had around and doing it. And then I would see things and say, oh, well, that could look better.
Yeah.
and so it's just a little bit of time and you know, and I always worked with color as part of my job.
Yeah.
So I love, you know, putting a new color on something, taking a chance.
So you've kind of also, it sounds like you've taken some of your commercial background and been able to incorporate it into something that's a little more, I don't know what word to give it, because this is very different from what you were doing before you were doing this.
Oh yeah, it's a completely new endeavor.
Yeah.
So every day is a little bit of an adventure. I've learned a lot of things. I had to learn a lot of things to do this.
Yeah.
You know, so, but, you know.
And you seem to be somewhat self-taught, it sounds like. Have you had any schooling in the field? I'm curious.
No schooling in the arts at all. It was just, I've always been sort of creative. You know, I taught art in nursery schools and things like that, in the school systems. Mostly creative things, like I always had great ideas of fun things to do with kids and things I like to do. So I've always done sort of creative fun things, but I don't have any training.
So you're still doing it?
I'm still doing stuff that I like to do.
That's really great. So it's interesting, I think, that your background was like so commercial. You were actually, did you say you were like a merchandiser?
No, so basically I worked as a part of the marketing department for these major corporations that had big brands, and the marketers would come to me and say, you know, we'd like to change the look and feel of a product, and I would work with find the right design agency, work with the marketers to realize their vision and help the designers sort of find the right look and feel for a product.
Did you plan this in your head, you know, thinking forward in your own life? Did you envision having like such a fabulous space of your own, such as this?
I used to joke around and say, you know, someday I'd like to have a store, and because I always loved going to craft fairs. I would always say, you know, someday I'd love to have a store and teach yoga and you know, and kind of, you know, sell beautiful things. I'd see these great gift galleries and with unique products, and that was sort of a crazy idea that I had. But when I retired.
When you retired, which, well, artists, I don't know, do artists retire?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because the brain doesn't really stop working that way.
And so this happened, and people said, oh, well, you'll have to do it this way, and you have to do it that way. And I don't know, it's just sort of come together. It's as things come to the store, they just sort of fit in. It's almost magical.
It is almost magical. I used the word organic before, you know, because I was privy to watch this evolve. And I have to say, I am totally impressed. You know, there's a little something here for everyone. And so you have spoken also about doing other kinds of events in here, such as classes. You have a special room where you can actually conduct a class. So what are your plans for that?
Well, so
yoga.
I don't know about yoga because there's so many yoga studios,
there
but
are
there are a lot of yoga studios in town.
Okay.
But you're having class. We've got the Energy Stoners class coming up September 23rd, so that's exciting.
The salon.
The salon.
It's not about me though. It's really about you.
No, I know, but it's exciting because it's going to be in this space. So it's a great energy. So I'm excited about that. And then other people have expressed interest. We have someone who does the cards that are over here, and she does origami, and she does beautiful wreaths and Christmas ornaments. So we're hoping that and her name's Liz Peterson, we're hoping Liz will do that. Yeah, so we're hoping Liz will perhaps, she's talking about maybe doing a class to teach the ornaments and things for Christmas, so that would be nice.
That would be so wonderful.
That'd be great, right? And then Someone else approached me about doing a writing class, a writing workshop, and she has books that are on the shelf back here. And so Chanel lives upstairs, and so she's, you know, putting a proposal together to maybe do a writing workshop for people.
Wonderful. You know, there's a lot of that going on. I will say that I know that with the Energy Stoners, there's a writer, a gentleman who wrote a book of poetry. So thank you for allowing him to come, Alan Bandez, to read poetry here.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Beautiful love poems.
Yeah.
You know, and we all love love.
Right.
We love it. We do, you know. So I think that's wonderful. Do you think you'll ever have any sort of maybe even a musical event or?
Well, so that's the other thing that I was working on today with my bookkeeper / media person. She's down in Georgia, but no, it's a small world now, so she helps me with all of these things. And Julia, we're trying to do a calendar of events now. And so I've spoken to the artists because there is so much art coming in, and I don't have room for all of it, but I don't want to say no to anybody either. I'd like to represent as many, or like to have as many people represented here as possible. So what I'm hoping to do is trunk shows. I think you and I have talked about this a little bit, and so I think it'll be fun. We'll get a calendar of events. We'll post a calendar. We'll see what artists want to show their work and when, and we'll try to do, like, I don't know, Thursday evenings where people can come, and I'm going to try to talk. I've talked a little bit to Dylan's and to the Peekskill Brewery about maybe we'll do a beer tasting or a wine tasting at the same time.
Yes.
And I think most of the artists have been really receptive to the idea.
Yeah, we like wine and beer in Peekskill. We do. I can attest to that.
So I think it'd be nice to have little events like that, and then it'll be good for the gallery, but it'll also be good for the artists, and give everybody a chance to show a little bit more of their work.
I like the fact that you're being so true to yourself and your general nature of open-mindedness. I believe that will actually suit you. And I just want to say, I predicted something like this when I first moved to this neighborhood. I remember gazing out my window, and I was new, and seeing like the wrought iron fence go up at Birdsall, and I predicted, I said, you know something, it's going to be all about this part of town soon. And here you are, you know, and you're the beginning, and this building that we're in right now, you know, is evolving as well, not so much with this, the art lofts. So you actually sought this out? I mean, how did you find out about this particular space?
So Tom Walsh, who has Pedal Peekskill, which is down next to the brewery, and he has Yorktown Cycles, told a friend of mine who told me, and because he knew I was maybe looking for a retail space, and I really hadn't thought everything through. And as I told you in the beginning, I was sort of like, oh, well, it'd be a nice idea. Let's see what I could do.
Yeah,
but
here you are.
Here I am. And so I called Kearney Development Group, and I said, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And I didn't know that this was lofts for artists or anything at the time.
Yeah, you're in the right place at the right time.
And they really embraced the idea.
Okay.
They loved it. And because they knew that it was an artist's loft.
Right, they knew, but you just stepped into it at the right time.
I think so. So it was really interesting. And so it's been, so they were here today with a whole slew of people to show them what, you know, what the place looked like. And I was sort of overwhelmed, you know, and I've been overwhelmed by the reception of everybody in town. People have been coming, and they've been really warm and welcoming. It's been very nice.
Well, like I said, you're being really true to who you are and what you've done. I think it's interesting that you've taken your past business art career, but your past career, and made it cohesive in this space. There is cohesion in here, even though there's a lot of stuff, and it's not an easy thing to curate a space.
You know.
That's so inclusive.
Yes, I think, you know, ignorance is bliss.
Okay.
I think maybe it's a little combination of that, a little combination of just, like I said, it's been a little bit of a magical experience, you know, and just knowing what I like, and you know, and just sort of feeling my way, you know, and knowing where things just, if it didn't feel right, and not, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or turn anybody away, but if it, you know, I didn't think I'd have to say no, but I have said no once or twice, and maybe at a later time, but right now some certain things didn't fit. So you have to sometimes say no.
Sometimes if you say no, it's people will aspire to getting in here later, so they work a little harder at what they do. You know, people that have been around for a while have seen people evolve. Hence we have Evolution Gallery. Right. But I've seen artists evolve from like being great artists into being spectacular artists over a period of time. So never give up hope, you know, just don't let it deter you from your craft, and to keep aspiring. So you have your dog Finn. Now, we talked about his curatorial expertise.
That's the joke in town now. Yeah. You see it on Facebook because Finn's in every picture, and you know, Ocean came by and took pictures, and then people were joking because he's in every picture. So you see all the lines are like, Finn does the curating, Finn does the bookkeeping.
No, we love you here. Yes. You're great. This is fantastic. It's really good. Now, I think it's interesting also, I want to say that I can appreciate this. I appreciate the fact that aside from including the art, you also include the business people as well. So you seem to be doing some collaborations with people, like from the brewery, you mentioned a couple of places, to collaborate with the businesses as well. I think that that's very significant. A lot of, often I think an artist might discount something like that, but I think that we can feed off of each other.
So I believe in cross-promoting, and and all of these things will sort of help each other out, Yeah. I think it's a really good way to do business. So I'm always looking for opportunities or ways that I can think of marketing ways to do fun things.
Yeah.
Really, but fun I told you about the T-shirts that I just ordered.
Yes.
But also things for the community, because I think I love just seeing what's happening here in Peekskill.
There's always something.
Right, but by sort of giving back to the community, I was, been sort of talking to Wilfredo. He's got this program for the kids, so when the T-shirts come, part of the proceeds from the sale of the T-shirt's going to go towards Wilfredo's charity for the kids. So it'll be some advertising for the gallery for sure, but it's also going to be something for the kids.
It's good to give back.
Right.
It's good to give back.
Yeah.
And even if no one knows you're giving back, it's good to give back.
Right. But I want people to know when they're buying the T-shirt that they're doing something, for Peekskill. Yes. At the same time.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. That's good.
And it's funny because people come in and they'll tell me, oh, well, our kids, I've had people come in and say that their kids are, sketch, or their kids draw, and they've shown me pictures. And so I'm thinking that I might, try to do some little pop-up show for some of the kids too.
That'd be so nice.
Because I think that's a good idea.
That would be so nice.
Yeah. So we'll try to coordinate something along those lines.
Yeah. Well, you're just starting, it's hard to
I know,
believe.
it's only been a few weeks, so I have these ideas and I sort of get ahead of myself, but it gets exciting because you think of all the fun things you can do, and, and be inclusive to a lot of people. And
it's nice that you have a vision, that you envision the future in doing these things. It's good to be in the moment, but you have the vision of your own evolution, with regard to this particular gallery, and it includes art and business. I believe they both go together, and you actually see it that way, and I think it's fantastic that you do.
Yeah, I just, I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to figure out how to do it and stuff, and so it just, like I said, today we started working on, how do we get this calendar up, and how do we get people to sign up and, commit to a date, and then I've got to run down to the brewery or to Dylan's and say, can we get wine? You want to have a wine tasting on this date? I've got an artist.
Right, there you go. See? I mean, I'm all for the wine tasting. I'm not gonna
I'm gonna need the wine tasting.
I will definitely be there, you know, for that one for sure.
I'll need the wine tasting.
Yeah, wine tasting is a good thing. Wine tasting is a beautiful thing, you know. But you have a lot of beautiful things in here, and I think the most beautiful thing in here is you. Oh. The way that you're embracing everybody. You have such a beautiful spirit, such a beautiful outlook, and you tend to be somewhat low key, you know, and that it's almost kind of, you know, that, what is that expression? Less is more. You know, you embody it.
I don't know. I'm just trying, you know, I want this to work, and it's not, I mean, I want it to work for me, obviously.
Yes.
But it's not just for me, because I look at all the people who've come in and that I've met, and I look around at some of these people who are just kids. Yeah. I mean, literally just kids, just out of college. I've got, you know, an illustrator over here who's out of school since June. Is this young man who's got these photos on the wall who's 24 years old, and just the sweetest thing keeps coming by. What can I do to help you? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. but you know, I put all these people who are just starting out. I've got candles back there by a group in 2 years in business out of Rochester. Wow. And all these people are just doing what they love to do, and they're trying to make it. And I feel like, well, if everybody is doing this, like the woman with the felt stuff, all these, she came to me and they don't usually do consignment. She brought all the stuff and said, we'll do it for you. She never met me before. And she said, we'll do it. And she brought me, they had closed their store. She brought me bags and boxes and donated all this stuff to me and brought me the stuff, and her stuff's been selling, and it's great. It's been great. People really love the little felt coasters and things. And I think at Christmas it's gonna go crazy.
I can anticipate that.
And this is just giving an opportunity to so many people. Yeah. Like I'm up to 48 artists.
That's a lot of artists.
It's been, what, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
And there's 400 some pieces of art in here.
There you go. And all created by you. You've given people another reason to come to Peekskill.
Well, you know, and another person who lives upstairs is the digital editor for Westchester Magazine, and he interviewed me for the magazine, and he came in and took a bunch of pictures. So there's an article going in Westchester Magazine. Yeah. So that's nice. So hopefully that'll bring more people in.
I bet it will. And I could say, as we have to actually wrap this up, I love talking to you, that I really believe that you've brought something very special here. You know, I can feel it in my bones. You know, I really can. And this is just a wonderful space. I just anticipate you'll go very far. And, you know, thank you for embracing Peekskill. And I know that Peekskill will embrace you, as we well should. You've given people another reason to come to Peekskill, to visit the Evolution Gallery.
Well, thank you, Toni. Thank you so much for coming here, and thank you for welcoming me. You were one of the first people who contacted me, and I thank you so much.
No, it's my pleasure. It's my honor, you know, and I think we're all in the same chapter with this.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can all embrace each other. And I have to wrap it up, darn it. I hate it when that happens. But you know something, we'll do a follow-up, because I think that, you know, you're gonna have more to talk about sooner than later, but you'll have more to talk about. And I'll have to say goodbye to the audience. I hate to see you go, but you gotta come back, because I'm coming back to you. And this is Talk with TQ, and I have to thank my director, James Brooks, and I have to thank my sound technician, Joe Pisano, who's over there on the floor, and hoping I don't tap my feet again. I'm sure I keep doing it. And thank you so much for coming to the show. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.